there's always a reason to show my inner critic and gravity who's boss. Because rocking the climb together is twice the fun. For these and every reason, there's Good Life.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Paranormal Guys Inc. Radio. I'm your host, Jason Pepper. Once again, I want to say thank you for tuning in tonight. Bear with me. My little son, it's 11 o'clock Toronto time, and he's not sleeping yet. So if you hear any noise in the background, it's not an EVP or a ghost. It's actually him. So he's my co-host, let's call it. Happened one or two times before. So thanks for tuning in tonight. We got a great show. My guest is Clarissa Vazquez from CCPI, and we'll get her in here as soon as possible. I just wanted to give a quick shout-out, because I promised I would do this, to Suzanne Taylor. She was a guest of mine, and she also created a movie, What on Earth, about crop circles. I told her I would do a plug for her. So I get that out of the way. And to Robbie Thomas, a big hello to you, too, as well. Everyone check out his new book, Paranormal Encounters. It's number 2 on the bestsellers list, and I said I'd make a mention of that as well. And to everyone listening here on Blog Talk Radio, thank you very much for your support. And all the Facebook group members, new and old, thank you. And all the other social groups we're a part of, thanks so much. Well, without further ado, let's bring her in here and see if we can get this show underway. And I also put her website link in the chat room, as well as a YouTube video that she made to explain a little bit more about her. So take a look at that if you're in the chat room. And for those that are listening, we'll get her to give her website out as soon as possible. Here she is. Hello, Clarissa, is that you?
Yeah, I'm here, but I'm not sure about the connection that we've got tonight.
How's that now? Is it a little bit better?
A little bit. It could be on my end.
Yeah, because sometimes...
I'm adjusting things here.
Yeah, normally, are you using Skype or are you using a direct landline?
Actually, I'm using a Magic Jack tonight.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah, sometimes that happens with that as well. It cuts in and out, or it fluctuates a little bit, but it should be okay on the replay. But during the live show, it's sort of, sometimes it's hard to get a read of what's being said or, you know, that kind of thing. But, again, if you hear any noise in the background, that's my little son. He's still with us here. He's wide awake at 11 o'clock at night. And he's kind of co-hosting with me, so bear with me tonight. But how are you?
The more the merrier.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm doing good.
Good to hear. And I thank you so much for coming on to the show, because I know we sort of arranged it, and then we kind of forgot about it, both of us. And we sort of dropped the hat, and then we got it back online. And it was short notice, but I really appreciate you coming on. And I hope that tonight turns out to be a great show, which I'm sure it will.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. And it was kind of funny that we both kind of dropped the ball on it, and then I sent you a little message going, when are we going to do this? And, and you went, well, let's do it Friday.
That's right. Well, let's take a look at how this all began for you, because you are the founder of the CCPI, and if you can you give out your website for the people that are listening on other sources?
You bet. The web address is www.coloparanormal.com. That's short for Colorado, so the shortened version of Colorado, paranormal.com. We also have a Facebook page under Colorado Coalition of Paranormal Investigators, and our website is accessible through there, too.
Awesome. And I also put your YouTube video, as I mentioned, in the chat room. People can... Do
I want to know which YouTube video you posted?
Let's see. It should be in the chat room. Sorry, my little guy's just talking away here. It's you can see it right there. Are you in the chat room yourself?
I am. Let me take a look
scroll
here.
up, and you'll see it. The sentence is, here's a YouTube video made by Clarissa and CCPI. It's the bio one that you made, I think.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, just for a little background, and I sent you a friend request on YouTube as well.
I did, and I got it, yeah.
Yeah, I subscribed. So, yeah, people can take a look at that. And have you had many paranormal experiences outside of this? Let's let the people know a little history of you, and we'll go from there.
Well, I've been investigating reports of the paranormal for a little over 10 years now.
Yes.
CCPI has been in existence for about 6 years.
Right.
And so we've taken things a step further as far as we go beyond just investigating reports of paranormal activity. What we do is we pride ourselves on being the most professional, the most thorough, and really the best team in the state of Colorado.
Right. And
so
let me ask you about that. For the history of Colorado, is there a lot of activity, or is it, especially with the gold mining and that kind of thing?
Oh, absolutely. When you throw in the gold mines in conjunction with all of the Native American history in this state,
right.
There is a lot of paranormal activity. The famous Stanley Hotel, where Stephen King was inspired to write The Shining, is in Colorado. The Hotel Colorado, obviously, is in Colorado. Some of the most famous haunted locations are here in Colorado.
And there's even an extenuating sort of paranormal conspiracy theory happening in Colorado. One is the airport, which some say looks like a swastika, and two, the supposed secret second national capital that's underground somewhere in an underground base. Are those anything that you've looked into?
Well, the airport resembling a swastika is, I suppose, it's like looking at clouds. If you wanted, if you really wanted to see, the shape of Groucho Marx in that cloud, then you're going to see it. If you really want to see a swastika in the design of the new airport, you're probably going to see it. As far as the underground military installation, I am not at liberty to comment on that.
Understood. Well, let me ask you on the mural that's inside of the airport, though. A lot of people have some secret agenda or Illuminati, New World Order feelings to this. Is that overblown, or
it
is? I've seen pictures of it. I've never seen it in person, so I wouldn't know.
I have seen it in person, and it is what you make of it. If you really want to think something's there, you're going to find something there, and there's going to be conspiracy theorists out there that swear up and down that that's what it is when that's not the case.
And as far as other things, because there's quite a few UFO reportings in that area as well. Is that something that you follow, ufology, or are you strictly into, sort of ghost hunting and EVP tracking?
At this point in time, CCPI is strictly into the ghost hunting side of it. We are looking to expand eventually into the UFO side and the cryptozoology side, but we're just not to that point yet.
And personally, though, how do you feel on that subject? Are you skeptical, or have you encountered something strange that makes you feel that there is a possibility for these sort of things?
Well, as a paranormal investigator, of course, I'm open-minded. As a minister, I'm going, no, probably not. But like most people regarding ghosts and other paranormal phenomena, most everybody is a skeptic until they have their own encounter. And so I think until I have my own extraterrestrial encounter, I think I'm going to kind of remain skeptical there.
And that's a great point, too. Being a minister, does that give you a stronger faith? Obviously it would, but for those that aren't familiar with having that title behind you, do you go into an investigation feeling more secure, knowing that you have that extra faith to back up yourself with? I
go through life feeling more secure, knowing that I have that backup. But yes, it does come in handy on investigations, particularly when dealing with a demonic situation.
Yes, and I just had a guest on not too long ago. He's actually a bishop, James Long. He suggested for people that are not ordained to stay away from demonology. Is that something you suggest as well?
Absolutely.
And, what would be the most, detrimental consequence? Obviously, it would be demonic possession, but is there other aspects of it, like trickle-down effect or even residual effect that could be felt, not by that individual, but others around them?
Well, obviously, there's going to be some sort of negative consequence. It's the same as playing with a Ouija board. Demons are liars and tricksters, and they will convince you of just about anything in order to make you feel complacent and let your guard down. The ultimate result, of course, is physical possession. But in the meantime, there are all kinds of other nasty, wicked side effects while they're trying to gain that physical possession. One thing to keep in mind, though, is possession is physically impossible unless the person being possessed allows it in some form or another. So, one thing to keep in mind as an investigator, if you're going into a situation where your client swears that they or someone they know is possessed, you have to give permission in one form or another.
Understood. And as far as investigations, how do you approach an investigation, say pre-ritual? Is there something that you do, cleansing or prayers or even superstitions that help with the investigation?
Well, each investigator has their own prayers and such that they use prior to. Immediately following, that's when we gather up as a group and utilize our own powers of prayer collectively to ensure that we are leaving the scene safely.
And is there any sort of thing that you suggest somebody not do? Say, a certain spice or herb or, even a charm that may aggravate the situation? 'Cause I don't think I've ever asked anybody what not to do, and is there anything that you found really makes the situation worse?
Playing with crystals, if you don't know what you're doing, that can aggravate things. It can also make things better if you know what you're doing.
Right.
But again, if you've got someone who is utilizing a pendulum crystal and monitoring the clockwise, counterclockwise, or swinging motions of that pendulum, then again, if you're dealing with a demonic entity, you don't know if it's that demon, playing with your crystal and telling you what it thinks you want to hear. So I don't necessarily advocate the use of crystals. I certainly absolutely do not advocate the use of Ouija boards or talking boards or table tipping or seances or prayer circles or anything of the sort that can be utilized to conjure.
And do you welcome psychics or mediums into your investigations, or is that something that you still need to sort of absorb into the group?
Only on rare occasions and I mean very rare occasions, will we utilize psychics or mediums or clairvoyants. The way CCPI operates, we are a very, very science-based organization, and we follow the philosophy that you cannot prove the paranormal with the paranormal.
Right.
So, it's a very, very rare occasion when we when we utilize the talents of a medium. We do have a sensitive on our team. However, that person, operates on the science side, unless I ask them to, unless I say, okay, we've hit a brick wall with this, can you give me anything further, to kind of point me in the right direction? And in which case they do, but otherwise, they operate strictly on the science side.
Understood. And for a new recruit, let's say, about how long, or is there really no timeline, more or less based on knowledge level achieved, before you allow them to go on their first field investigation, in your opinion? How long would that be?
All of the new recruits, regardless of prior experience, are automatically in a 6-month probationary period. The first 3 months, they are actively investigating with the rest of the team, getting their feet wet, learning the ins and outs of the organization, how we operate, what we do. The first 3 months are extreme direct supervision. I mean, you don't blow your nose without a team leader being right there next to you. The second 3 months of the probationary period are less supervised. That's giving the newer people a chance to operate some of the equipment, learn how to set up, tear down, things of that nature. After 6 months, they're no longer on probation, but they are still considered to be in training until they've showed me, number one, that they know the equipment inside, outside, upside down, how to use it, when to use it, where to use it. They have to have a verifiable paranormal encounter, and by verifiable means it has to be either video recorded, audio recorded, witnessed by a team leader, something to that effect, to show me that that person knows how to act, interact, and react in the presence of a paranormal entity. And then...
well, let me ask you the flip side of it. What would be something that would be the removal of an individual? Would it be, sort of, again, aggravating the situation by not listening to you and with certain gems or herbs, or, exaggerating the evidence in any way?
Absolutely. My train of thought here just went out the window. Oh, okay. Yes. Insubordination, failure to follow instructions, lack of professionalism, blatant disrespect for the client or the situation or the team. Those are automatic grounds for dismissal. I have got a zero tolerance policy, and those team members of mine that are in the chat room right now are all going, yeah, I know. They all know that professionalism and, following the rules and listening to what your team leaders tell you, for safety reasons, if not any other reason, those are my number one priorities on an investigation. And so, yes, failure to follow those rules is grounds for dismissal.
Gotcha. And when you do an investigation, do you get your entire team unit to that spot, or do you have multiple investigations happening at the same time?
It really depends on the situation. If we've got a location that's large enough to accommodate all 10 of us, then by all means all 10 of us will go. We have been known to split off and do a couple of different locations in one night, again, depending on the situation. We had one location a couple of months ago. It was so small, and there were 6 of us, and so we split off into teams of 3, and one team went and played around in the cemetery for an hour while the other team investigated inside the house, and then we'd switch. So it was a nice change of pace to kind of get away and remove yourself from the situation before having to go back and refocus.
Right. And at this point now, how many group members do you have?
We have got 10 active and now 2 honorary.
Right. And is there a certain cutoff point that you'll say, okay, this is a large enough group that we can go maybe interstate?
Actually, we're working on that right now. We're in the process. I'm in the process of working on developing a sister team on the East Coast.
Right.
And so,
have you been approached for any? I know you've been mentioned in a few books, and you have your own book coming out, which we'll talk about later. But with all the TV shows that are on TV right now, have you been approached to headline your own show?
Not yet, and I don't know that that's something that I want to do.
Right.
I don't mind doing an episode here and there on somebody else's show, but having my own show, just because I'm the kind of person I don't want to feel like I have to provide results, and so in order to keep the ratings, and that may sound a little cynical, but I'm not going to compromise my integrity just for TV ratings.
Gotcha.
So I don't know that having my own show is something that I want right now.
And what's your opinion of these shows? I know there's some great ones on TV right now, and then there's some that are, in my opinion, are just terrible. But
there are some really good shows out there. There are some that are a joke. then there's even one show that I used to hold in very, very high regard until I lost all of my respect for the stars of that show. And so it's all about, when you're watching those TV shows, you really need to take things with a grain of salt and kind of consider the source. And, is this a reliable source? Also, look at their professionalism, because if they're dropping F-bombs all over the place, chances are their evidence isn't genuine. If they don't have the respect and the knowledge to at least keep their mouths clean, chances are they're probably going to be able to fabricate their evidence as well.
And isn't it much different when you're on the other side as well? You see things and you pick up things that the most common person would not, and you're like, wait a second, it's like dinging bells as the show goes on.
Right.
Well, what about? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, when I can sit and watch the TV show and point out how that investigator is fabricating their evidence, that's when I change the channel.
No, and as you said before, you made a great point that sometimes in order to keep the show on the television, they have to embellish a bit, because I don't know. I've spoken to many people on and off the record, and you're not going to get results. Sometimes not at all, and every program, they have a major event happening, So that's something that people need to think about. And in my opinion, it's bringing awareness to the whole genre and paranormal world, but it's also bringing a lot of misguided adventures, if I can call it that, for people that are not aware of what's really going on, and they try to go with their video camera and collect data, and they end up with nothing, and sort of taints their experience. But in the long run,
and don't get me wrong,
the
TV shows that have come about over the last 5 years, combined with some of the movies that have come out in Hollywood, have certainly helped to remove a lot of the stigma that has been attached to someone admitting that they've had a paranormal encounter.
That's right.
So, that in itself has been beneficial.
Well, the whole reason for my angling this is, with the paranormal, do you feel that it is mainstream now, or do you feel that it's still on the fence, and people they're apprehensive, but they're able to talk about it, with the right pushing?
It's still on the fence. I still have people. I still have people tell me that I'm going straight to hell because of what I do. It's still on the fence, and I think until we've made bigger strides toward finding that concrete, conclusive, unquestionable evidence, it's going to stay on the fence for a while.
Right. And the other point about this too is, it seems that you don't need a major TV network to help you create or find extraordinary evidence, and that's the inspiring part as well for the amateurs out there, or the people that are thinking about getting into this. With the right intentions, you can create anything, and that's the positive part. But let's go through some of your most favorable cases in Colorado, personally, that you experienced, and some of the cases that you would like to go to yourself and then have your teams redo the investigation in like a desired spot, if you would.
Well, the one that we're really kind of excited to go back to is one that we went to this last spring up in a town called Redstone, Colorado.
Yep. And
it was they called it a farmhouse, I call it a mansion, that we investigated. And it was the residence of John Osgood, who actually built the Redstone Castle. And he lived in this quote-unquote farmhouse while the castle was being built. And we had the opportunity to go in and investigate this house and it was an amazing opportunity for us because I myself was sitting on a sofa in the main living room area and had two brand new rookies, one sitting on either side of me. And we had a full-bodied apparition actually walk into the room and sit down on the love seat across the room from us.
Wow.
And of course, both of the rookies, they each had a death grip on my arms. And so it was a good training opportunity for me to show them the proper way to act and react in that sort of a situation. And once they got over the whole fight or flight thing, they were cool and started trying to talk to it. And, of course, it was more than likely residual. It did not interact with us at all. But we are very excited to go back to that one.
And is there any sort of case that yourself you would not do just for sheer, not so much fear, but just to the point where you feel that it's just not the right thing to do?
I would, I haven't encountered anything like that. The closest encounter I have had would have been about 5 or 6 years ago when we were investigating a cemetery and we encountered a fox, and this fox got within 5 feet of us, and we had just got on scene and testing out the equipment and like, oh, look at the cute little fox, we'll take a picture of it. And we had 2 video cameras at the time. Both video cameras would record sound but no picture. And all of the still cameras that we had, you could see the fox in the viewfinder, but he was not in the photos. And, long story short, he went around in the front of the car and started to head off into some brush, and I got one of the guys that I was with to turn the brights, the high beams on the car to illuminate him. And me being the adventurous and unstoppable and afraid person that I am, charged him with my Polaroid camera, snapped the picture, and all I got were his eyes. And so I looked at the picture and went, yeah, we're leaving, and didn't have to tell them twice. They had already packed the gear and they were in the car. But, something like that I don't know that I'd want to encounter again, especially at the level of lack of knowledge that I had at the time.
Right. And let's talk about some issues that are quite controversial within the paranormal realm. And what's your thought on the whole orb phenomenon? Not the UFO, lightning ball orbs, but the picturesque orbs, the ornamental orbs, let's call them.
I personally say that orbs stands for ordinary bits of stuff. I do not put any weight into orbs at all, unless it is a cylindrical ball of light that can be seen with the naked eye, in which case you better have multiple pictures of it from different angles with multiple cameras, and you better have video of it to solidify, more than one witness, back it up, make sure you've got it covered the same way you would a full-bodied apparition if it were to walk in the room with you. Other than that, I've gone round and round and round with investigators talking about, but I saw a face in the orb, and I'm going, well, have you actually looked at a piece of dust under a microscope? But it was green, or it was orange, or it was red, and it's like, yeah, what was the color of the nearest reflective object? It's really, really difficult to prove that an orb is paranormal in nature. It's very, very easy to prove that it's not.
Great point.
So,
and what about, there's still a lot of people that are half on or half off the whole EVP subject, and some claim that it's subjective to the listener, whereas others claim that it's just totally incoherent whatsoever. What's your stance on the EVP phenomenon?
Anybody that takes a listen to the EVP samples that are on my website will tell you that it's not subjective. I have got some very excellent examples of Class A EVP on my website. And having experienced that phenomena for myself, having been the one to record some of that and know for a fact, that there was nobody saying that at that time. I'm a firm believer in EVP, and I do strive to collect it on every investigation.
Yes. No, I totally subscribe to them as well. In fact, I don't know if this was an EVP, but it may have been something similar when I was a child. We had a TV that was a lot like the Poltergeist TV.
Oh, wow.
In our room it was terrifying to think about it now, but it wasn't connected to the house antenna or cable or nothing like that. But if you played around with the UHF dial, it would pick up random sayings, like vocabulary and sentence pieces and different people's voices, and it would almost string them together, and it was just weird. Like, I wish I recorded it for nowadays, this present moment, but it was so long ago, and I had no clue what I was listening to. I just thought it was the most interesting thing at that point.
Yeah, and things like that, that's hard to say, especially with those older model televisions. You had different channels running on different frequencies and such. I can remember my brother, when we were very, very young, playing with the bunny ears on the television, trying to get the Playboy channel. So I mean, it's tough to say without actually being there, to record it or experience it. It very well could have been. I know the movie White Noise delved into the television aspect of EVP quite a bit, as opposed to the audio recorder that most investigators use nowadays.
And if somebody, modifies the EVP and cleans it up a little bit, do you feel that that's tainted EVP?
That's a tough one to say, because I have had situations where I've eliminated and reduced the background noise.
Mm-hmm.
And so, do I consider that to be tainted? No. But individuals that go in and try, they either speed it up or slow it down or try to amplify the sound by making it higher or lower pitched, that I believe is tainted.
Okay, gotcha. And here's sort of a tough question. I don't know if anyone will ever have the answer, but do you feel that people that are spiritual and religious have more paranormal experiences with ghosts and spirits than those that are atheists or non-believers?
Based on my own personal experiences, no, I don't think that's accurate. I think it's 50-50. I think you've got a 50-50 shot regardless of your personal beliefs. Right. How you handle them and what you do with that experience is where that is going to come into play.
Understood. And a personal question, when you finally pass on 100 years from now, do you feel like you'll come back and roam the earth in the spiritual plane?
Oh, I hope so. I hope so. I think that would be a blast.
What type of spirit do you feel you would be, mischievous or just sort of hanging around?
Oh, I hope I'd be a poltergeist.
Speaking of that, have you come across any poltergeists that have simply just blown your mind?
Yeah, I have. I had a very interesting case, and it was a private residence, so some of the details I can't reveal. But
right.
a few years ago, we were brought in on a case where the minute we walked in the door, the display on the microwave, where it would normally say cook or chicken or beef or have the clock, started reading child. Wow. And we're going, oh, wow, there's a child setting on the microwave. And of course, before we can get cameras set up, things start flying off of the refrigerator, and electronics start turning themselves on, and and once the cameras were rolling, it stopped, which is pretty typical. But it was a little bit more than your average having something thrown at you. It was the second we walked in the door, things started happening, and it was like, hey, I'm here. So,
is there anything left that simply gives you goosebumps and makes your hair stand on edge? With this, or do you feel that you're at a point now? I know we kind of touched base a little bit, and you mentioned the fox, but for example, if a fridge gets flown at you, would that cause you to say, you know what, maybe we got to pack up and sort of not do this house?
If a refrigerator got thrown at me, I would be looking around first, going, "Did anybody get hurt?" And second, I'd be going, "Did we get that on video?" Things like that really don't faze me. But I did have an encounter this last spring, and it was an amazing investigation in a town called Nucla. Mm-hmm. And all of my investigators had an experience of some sort, whether they heard footsteps or whether they got touched or whether they got an amazing EVP. And that particular spirit in there was really going out of its way to make its presence known. And it knew that it was not going to be able to get to me by throwing something at me or materializing in front of me or pushing me or touching me. It knew that it wasn't going to be able to get to me that way. It knew that the only way it was going to be able to get to me was through my mind. And I did have about a 30-minute time period where I had to remove myself from the investigation because I was convinced that the investigators that I was with were going to try to kill me down in the basement. So I had to remove myself from the situation and once I put two and two together, figured out what was going on, I'm like, nice one, great. And that was also the same night that we got our dead bird EVP, and again, it was playing with my brain. I'm looking into an attic area, and I had the night owl monocular, and nobody else could see into this area because I was the only one with night vision. There were two other investigators off to my side in the room that I was in, but they couldn't see into the attic. And I looked down onto the floor in the attic with the night owl, and I thought I saw a dead bird on the floor. And in the audio clip, you can hear me, and this is on the website, you can hear me say, "Ew, what is that?" And this voice says, "Dead bird," before I ask another one of my investigators, "Hey, is there a dead bird in here?" So, again, it was messing with my head. And
yeah, definitely. It sounds like it was. Would you consider that to be that would not be a demon? That would be more like an imp, right? Sort of a playful.
Yeah, based on all of the other activity that we had in the house that night, I consider that one to be a very, very skilled poltergeist. Right.
And have you come across any very violent and hostile spirits?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what about the shadow person, shadow people, shadow creature aspect of it? Have you encountered any of those yet?
We have, and then again, we haven't. I try not to put a lot of weight into shadows, although there is a new piece of equipment that's out right now, and I really want to get my hands on it. It's my friends pick on me because I call it the green laser thingy. I can't remember the exact terminology for it.
That's a good name, actually. Call it the Green Lantern. It's a perfect name for it.
Yeah, and really what it is, it's a green laser that projects a star pattern, and it's supposed to help to either confirm or eliminate when you see shadow people. Right. We've had supposed experiences with shadows. We did have an investigation last winter where we had one team member call her team leader back to the same quarter 15 times in 1 hour period to debunk the exact same shadow. So I try not to put too much weight into shadow people. They're laughing about it in the chat room. I try not to put too much weight into shadow people unless it is something that we can capture on video and we can try to duplicate it and, you know, try to eliminate it.
Gotcha. And what about, because you are in a higher elevation up in Colorado and wooded areas, in your opinion, have the Bigfoot reportings gone up or down, and do other paranormal groups such as Bigfoot researchers contact you for a collaboration of any kind?
You know, the Bigfoot sightings here are few and far between.
Right.
And nobody has really contacted us, you know, to help collaborate on something like that. I think if they were hot on the trail of a Bigfoot, I would hope that they would contact us. Not that we would know what we're doing because we haven't branched off into cryptozoology yet. Mm-hmm. But you know, it's certainly something I would hope that they would have the, you know, the courtesy to, you know, to call us and say, hey, you know, we're going to be in your area. You know, do you want to help us out, or, you know, can you show us around or something?
Well, that's a great point. You know, because that's one thing that's desperately needed in the paranormal world is unity, and I speak about that quite often. You know, if more groups and different types of groups came together, the information and knowledge would get out there even faster. But it seemed to help, though, you know, being included in a book. How did that happen? How did that come together?
Oh, wow. Well, basically, I had people calling me, you know, saying, hey, I'm working on this book. It started with Calliomi did Ghosts from Coast to Coast, and she found out about the extensive research that we've done on the Hotel Colorado in Glenwood Springs and Potter's Field in Grand Junction. And she says, you know, would you be willing to help me out with this? And I said, sure. And so that was how I got into her book. And then Dennis Baker found out that I had helped Calliomi with her book and said, you know, hey, I'm doing this book on Colorado. You know, talk to me about the Hotel Colorado. And so I did. Now, the thing with Dennis Baker's book is there is a huge misprint in there.
Right.
He actually published that the gunfighter Doc Holliday died in the Hotel Colorado, which is incorrect. He died in the Colorado Hotel, which was about 3 blocks down the road. Similar name. Yeah. So that's a very obvious misprint that I've made him aware of, but he hasn't corrected yet. And then Chris Balzano with his book, Picture Yourself Capturing Ghosts on Film. Chris and I have known each other for quite a while. And, in fact, Chris and I have done, we've been on the radio together, going head-to-head on a couple of things. He sparks a good debate. And he says, you know, hey, I'm working on this book, Picture Yourself Capturing Ghosts on Film. You know, do you want to contribute anything? And I said, well, do I? You know, so I've got page after page after page in his book. And it looks like we're probably going to work together on another book here real soon. So
right.
That's exciting as well.
And as far as books yourself, would you ever write any other form or style of writing other than the paranormal, or is that completely your passion?
Well, the paranormal is my obsession. I eat, sleep, and breathe it. And my own book that's coming out here soon is fiction, but it is paranormal based. So I don't know that I would be capable of writing any other genre other than paranormal, just because that's my obsession. It's my life. And
is there any completion date for your own book?
You know, there was a completion date until I decided to tear it up and add on to it. The first section is complete. It's finished. It was ready to go to the publisher, but I decided there needed to be more, and so I'm adding a part 2, and I'm about 9 chapters into the second part. So I'm hoping that by the end of the summer it will be ready to go to the publisher, and with any luck, it'll be in print and on the shelves between October and December.
Well, best of luck with that. And back on the whole TV and Hollywood aspect, let's say that this book, which I know it will, flies off the shelf and, just burns the bestsellers list. And they want to make it into
I'm glad you're so confident.
And they approach you and they want to turn it into a movie, but they say the only deal is, you have to sign off all creative rights. We make it the way we want it. Would you allow that to happen?
I couldn't do that. That's why I don't have an editor. Is because right. when I write it, I wrote it the way I want it, and so that's the way it's going to stay, is the way that I want it. So I guess I'm spoiled in that respect.
No, and that's a great thing, because nowadays, integrity is very minimal in many aspects. So I'm very glad that you feel that way. It's just, that's the way I feel too. If I was to ever, achieve some sort of opportunity, no matter what, but it costs your integrity, I'd be no thanks.
Right. And that's, again, that goes back to the thing with the TV shows. I'm not willing to compromise my integrity or my name.
That's right.
For TV ratings.
That's right. And you're doing a great job, you and your group. Let me ask, big plans. Summer is always active into the fall and winter, but is there any downtime in your region for the paranormal, or is it consistent all year round?
Normally, our downtime is from about the first of the year through the end of September.
Right.
And up until this last year, we would average about one investigation a month. We still have not slowed down from the 2009 busy season. Wow. And are averaging about 3 to 4 investigations a month right now. We were hoping to take the month of July off. That is not happening. But some of us are getting a bit of a vacation. We're taking off in, let's see, what time is it? It's 10 o'clock here, so midnight on the East Coast. We're taking off in 10 days for the East Coast. We're going to go investigate New England. We're going to check out Salem and a couple other hot spots.
That's an awesome segue, because if you had one chance to investigate one location in the world, the most haunted spot, either known or not known by mainstream, where would that be for you and your group?
Oh, well, wow. One of my personal favorites and one of my goals is Tombstone, Arizona. Waverly is another one. There's so many that I want to hit, and the fact that we've got this amazing opportunity to investigate, parts of New England, particularly Salem. That's just, it's the opportunity of a lifetime for us, and we're really excited to to get to go and take advantage of that opportunity. We're going to spend 5 days out there. Yeah, 5 days. 5 days and 5 nights out there, and we're driving 36 hours each way.
Wow. Well, how about, let's flash forward into the future. At what point would you be able to say to yourself, I've done all I can do, I've achieved all I could achieve, this is it, I can easily walk away and feel completely satisfied? Or is there option B, you'll just keep going until somebody else can take over the investigations for you, and you sit back and just become, like the main, let's say, evidence observer or, supervising personnel? What would you rather prefer?
I don't think there will ever be a point where I can sit back and go, I've done it all.
Right.
Obviously I have got an amazing team right now, and I am to a point where I can sit back a little bit and kind of let them run things. But I genuinely believe that I will be doing this until I die. This is my life's work, and hopefully someday I'll have something to show for it other than, a few books and some radio shows. but and a great website, so I've been told.
Yeah, and that right there alone is a legacy in itself. And don't feel bad about it, because there are people out there that always live their life woulda, shoulda, coulda, and you're doing it, and you're doing very well at it. So keep your head up high, and continue on with that.
Yeah, well, it's like I said, this is my life's work, and I've got a 9-year-old little boy who about every other day changes his mind as to whether or not he wants to do this with me. And so I think when he gets older, he'll finally say, "Yeah, I think I want to do it."
Yeah.
But
no, yeah, you're right, and I have two myself, and my daughter, she looks at something in the sky. Oh, is that a UFO, Daddy? I'm like, no, it's an airplane, but at least she's trying. So.
But good eye.
Yeah, exactly. Like sky watching, and that's an awesome thing. And she's aware of ghosts and vampires and werewolves and that kind of thing too. And it's inspiring to watch them. So, as you said, though, one day they like it, the next day they want to hear nothing of it. So.
Right. Right. And I think once he gets older, he'll finally decide, hey, this is pretty cool, and decide that he wants to do it. But, for now it's on again, off again, and that's okay too.
Yeah, exactly. Don't force the issue, otherwise they'll turn to hate it. But we're coming close to the end of the show here. I wanted to find out from you, upcoming plans in a little more detail. As you said, you're going to New England, and you have another book that you're collaborating on. Other than that, though, if people have personal experiences, even outside of Colorado, and they want your expert advice, what would be the best way? You mentioned Facebook, but is there an email that they can contact you at?
They can contact me via email, which is Clarissa at COLOparanormal.com. I'll go ahead and post that in the chat room. And they can call us 24/7 on the CCPI business phone, which we have lovingly termed the bat phone. And that phone rotates through all of the team members. It's manned 24/7, and any chance at work or something to that effect, we get back to you immediately as soon as we can. But that phone number is 970-260-5164, and I put that one up in the chat room as well. And I happen to have the bat phone this month, so if anybody wants to, has a question, needs to get a hold of me or whatever, they will get me directly for the next few weeks until it gets passed on to the next team member.
Well, a quick note on that. Have you ever received any ghost or phantom calls at any point, or any of your team members?
No, we haven't. We had one lady call us from the East Coast that we were pretty sure needed to be committed, but no phantom calls, nothing out of the ordinary on the bat phone.
Understood. And if you could please one more time also give out your website for the people who may have tuned in late or are listening at a later point.
Sure. It's www.coloparanormal.com.
Awesome. And when that book is done, and if you want to come back for a second show and talk further and, even go over your New England experiences, let me know. I will definitely be more than happy to have you back. And, it was such a great conversation and an honor to speak to you. And I hope you enjoyed it.
It was a blast for me, Jason. Thanks for having me on.
Well, you have yourself a great night, and we'll talk very soon. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Take care.
Bye.
Good night. Well, another great guest and great show. Covered a lot of material, and I hope you can tune in for my next show. It's just around the corner for everyone that's listening at any of the social sites. Just want to say thanks again, and everyone on YouTube, MySpace, Twitter, Facebook group, etc., etc. Thanks so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it, and have yourself a great night, and we'll talk very soon. Again, please tune into my next show. It's going to be another good one. Debate, debatable subject, to say the least. Let's see here. Sorry again. Herb Street and his Herb Street method. Something that I'm not too familiar with myself. Should be interesting. So have a good night, and we'll talk very soon. See you on the other side.